On December 5, 1945, at 2:10 p.m., a recovery aircraft designated Martin Mariner 49 took off from the Banana River Naval Air Station in Florida. Its mission was a simple urgent rescue. 5 TBM Avenger torpedo bombers, known as Flight 19, had vanished during a routine training exercise. The Mariner, a massive flying boat with a crew of 13, was equipped to locate and save them. It had a full tank of fuel, state-of-the-art radio equipment, and a flight plan that took it directly into the last known coordinates of the lost squadron. At 2:30 p.m., the tower received a final routine check-in, and then nothing. The Martin Mariner 49 itself, a plane specifically sent on a search and rescue mission, had now also disappeared without a trace. No wreckage, no distress call, no bodies. This is not the story of a single lost flight. This is the story of the day the Bermuda Triangle demonstrated its appetite. The anomaly wasn't discovered by a mystic or a conspiracy theorist. It was discovered by a journalist, a man named Edward Van Winkle Jones. In September of 1950, Jones was working for the Associated Press, sifting through maritime reports and aviation logs, a mundane task of collating dry, factual data. His job was to find patterns, and he found one that was statistically uncomfortable. He began to notice a strange cluster of disappearances in a triangular area bounded by Miami, Puerto Rico, and the island of Bermuda. He wasn't looking for monsters. He was looking for news. But the data itself seemed to tell a different story. He compiled a list of missing ships and planes, each incident a cold case file marked by the same eerie characteristic: a sudden, complete loss of communication, followed by a total absence of physical evidence. His article, published in the AP Wire, was sober and factual. It didn't use the phrase Bermuda Triangle, it simply presented the facts. But those facts were a pebble that would start an avalanche. The public gave the area its geometric name, and the legend was born. Not from fiction, but from a reporter's spreadsheet. So what exactly is the anomaly? It is not a marked zone on any official navigational chart. Pilots and captains cross it every day without incident. The mystery is not the space itself, but the statistical and physical improbability of what happens within it to a select few. The core of the Bermuda Triangle phenomenon is the complete and utter eradication of vehicles and their occupants. We are not talking about crashes where debris is found. We are talking about vanishing. The case of Flight 19 is the quintessential example. Here is what makes it an impossible event. These were 5 experienced naval aviators, led by a combat veteran, on a simple overwater navigation exercise. Their aircraft were TB Avenger bombers, among the most rugged planes ever built, designed to land on aircraft carriers and withstand immense punishment. They were fully fueled, and then their communications began to degrade. The flight leader, Lieutenant Charles Taylor, radioed that his compasses were malfunctioning, not one, but all of them. He reported being lost, stating that he couldn't be sure of any direction. "Everything looks wrong," he said, "even the ocean." The weather was worsening, but it was not catastrophic. And then the radio transmission simply stopped. A massive land, air, and sea search operation, one of the largest in history, found nothing. No oil slick, no life raft, no floating debris. 5 large, sturdy aircraft and 14 men were swallowed by the sea without leaving a single solitary piece of themselves behind. This level of eradication is physically incongruous with any known form of aviation or maritime disaster. In the wake of Flight 19, the official investigation by the U.S. Navy was thorough. Their conclusion, published in a dense technical report, was that Lieutenant Taylor had become disoriented, led his flight off course, and they all eventually ran out of fuel and ditched in the stormy seas. Case closed. But for investigators outside the official channels, this explanation was riddled with holes. It was a conclusion of convenience. The first major clue came from civilian radio operators who had been monitoring the frequency that day. They reported hearing faint, fragmented messages from the Flight 19 aviators that were never included in the official record. One operator claimed to have heard a pilot say, "Don't come after me. It looks like it's from another world." This was dismissed as atmospheric interference or hoaxing. Then researchers began cross-referencing other incidents. They found the SS Marine Sulphur Queen, a massive T-2 tanker that vanished in 1963 with 39 crew. It was a 500-foot-long vessel. Its last message was routine. The Coast Guard search found a single life jacket. Just one. The most compelling technical clue, however, came from an unlikely source: space weather. Independent researchers like Ivan Sanderson began to notice that the Bermuda Triangle was one of the few places on Earth where true north and magnetic north perfectly align. This is called the agonic line. In this zone, a magnetic compass shows no deviation. For a navigator relying on traditional instruments, this could create a subtle, undetectable error, a perfect, silent navigational trap. But was it enough to explain the total disappearance of massive ships and planes? Or was it merely a contributing factor to something far stranger? The evidence of a coordinated effort to downplay the triangle is not found in a single smoking gun document, but in a pattern of bureaucratic obfuscation and archival erosion. The first sign is the official reports themselves. The Navy's verdict on Flight 19 blames pilot error, a conclusion that many of the victims' families and fellow aviators found insulting and inadequate. It was a tidy explanation that required no further investigation. Then there is the case of the records. Researchers attempting to pull the original radio logs, the full weather data for December 5, 1945, or the complete maintenance records for the Avengers of Flight 19 have run into a wall. Some documents are listed as lost. Others are misfiled. Key pages from the official investigation are noted as being transferred to another agency, with no record of which one. This is a digital and paper-time scorched earth campaign. It's not a violent cover-up. It's a quiet one. It's the sound of filing cabinets closing, and hard drives being wiped clean of inconvenient data. Most tellingly, when the Board of Inquiry's findings for Flight 19 were finally made public, the original cause was controversially changed. The initial finding had noted the mysterious compass failures and the strange nature of the communications. The final public-facing version placed the blame squarely on Lieutenant Taylor. It was a narrative correction, an effort to close the book by assigning a simple human cause to a profoundly inhuman event. The silence from official channels isn't a denial, it's a void. So what could cause such a perfect, evidenceless disappearance? The theories escalate from the logical to the profound. The first theory is oceanic and atmospheric phenomena. This is the most scientific explanation. Proponents point to massive, sudden eruptions of methane hydrates from the seafloor, bubbles of gas that could theoretically decrease the density of the water so drastically that a ship would lose buoyancy and sink in seconds. Furthermore, the area is prone to rogue waves and sudden, violent microburst storms. These are logical, documented dangers, but they do not explain the simultaneous failure of all electronic and magnetic equipment, nor the complete lack of debris from wooden ships or modern planes equipped with flotation devices. The second theory delves into the electromagnetically esoteric. This suggests that unique geological features deep under the triangle generate powerful and localized magnetic anomalies. These anomalies could scramble instrumentation and, under certain atmospheric conditions, create pockets of electronic fog, a bizarre, glowing mist that pilots have occasionally reported, which seems to consume time and space. Perhaps this fog is a natural plasma phenomenon that interferes with both reality and perception. This would explain the confused radio transmissions, the compass failures, and the sense of disorientation. The environment itself becomes the enemy. The final and most profound theory is that the Bermuda Triangle is a dimensional junction point. This theory posits that the unique gravitational and magnetic properties in the region create temporary, unstable rifts in space-time. An aircraft or ship passing through such a rift wouldn't crash. It would simply transition. It would be translated elsewhere or elsewhen in an instant. This is not a natural disaster in the conventional sense. It is a reality disaster. The complete lack of wreckage isn't because it sank, it's because it's no longer here. This theory suggests that the triangle isn't a graveyard at all. It's a doorway. And we have no idea what's on the other side. The human cost of the Bermuda Triangle is measured in empty chairs and unanswered questions. It's the families of the 14 men of Flight 19 who were handed a report that blamed their loved one for his own impossible disappearance. It's the crews of the countless ships, from the USS Cyclops in 1918 to the SS Poet in 1980, who sailed into good weather and simply ceased to be. The most haunting piece of evidence is not a document or a theory. It is the final, clear, and utterly calm radio transmission from the pilot of a small private plane that vanished in the Triangle in the 1970s. His last words, picked up by air traffic control, were not a scream or a cry for help. They were a simple, bewildered statement. He said, "The sky looks strange," and then silence. "We have mapped the ocean floor. We can predict the weather with stunning accuracy. We have satellites that can see a license plate from space. And yet, a defined area of our own planet remains a blank spot in our understanding, a place where the rules we rely on seem to falter." The Bermuda Triangle doesn't offer monsters or ghosts. It offers something far more unsettling. A perfect, impenetrable mystery. So the question is not what is in the Bermuda Triangle. The real chilling question is this. In a world we have so thoroughly charted and explained, what does its continued existence say about everything we think we know? The investigation continues. Subscribe to Midnight Glitch and bring a light.